Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you back into the kitchen where we're going to do a little more fermenting, and we've got a second sauerkraut recipe. Now this one is for flavored sauerkraut. Yes, you can add many different things into your sauerkraut mixture to flavor it and give it different profiles. So this one is going to have garlic and caraway seeds in it. So this is going to be a smaller batch, nothing like the first one. And I'm going to try to get it all in one jar. Might take two. We'll find out. Let's start getting the prep work done. Alright, for this recipe, you can use green cabbage, red cabbage. You can also use Napa cabbage if you want to. So, with this recipe, I'm going to be using 2 heads of cabbage. First, I'm going to cut the end off. Makes it a little bit easier to cut. Well, that went crooked, but that's okay. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, make sure that everything is clean and sanitized and your hands are washed and there's no lotion on them, no hand sanitizer, they're just washed and clean. Whew, these red cabbages are dense. And what you want to do, you want to make sure you get the core out. And as always, like I say, if you have rabbits or chickens, they will love you for these. Hogs will eat them also. You want to thinly slice your cabbage. And also make sure your cabbage is clean and washed as well. Any bruises, any bad spots, please make sure they are cut out. And also trim the softer outer leaves away also. Alright, I'll bring you back when I get 8 cups of the cabbage cut up. Okay, I have 8 cups of cabbage, and I try to follow my rule of thumb. For every 8 cups of cabbage, it's a tablespoon of salt. Yes, I know it sounds like a lot, but if you want your sauerkraut to not spoil, you have to use the salt. And you want to massage it really good and break those cell walls up of the cabbage. Alright, I'm going to go back to chopping because I still have 1.5 cabbages to cut up. So I'll bring you right back. Okay, I have both heads of cabbage shredded up or cut up. It thankfully ended up being 24 cups of sliced cabbage. So that helped me keep the salt ratio. All right, in here I have a big container. Oh, they smell so good, of caraway seeds. And for this amount, I'm going to do a tablespoon and a half. Now, you've got to be careful how many you use because it can overpower. But I love caraway, good rye bread. And this kraut will be perfect when it gets done for big old Reuben. And you want to massage in, whoops, and you want to get vigorous with it. Massage in the caraway seeds, get them dispersed throughout. And yes, you want to add them for the ferment, because that way the ferment, their flavor will get throughout the jars and the sauerkraut. You want to massage it as much as you can. See how wet it's looking? That's the cabbage releasing its juices. But this cabbage is a little tougher, so we'll definitely be pounding the cabbage in the jars, and I'll take you along for that. Okay, let me wash my hands for this next one. Alright, it's not called garlicky caraway sauerkraut for a reason. It's time to get the garlic. And yes, this is homegrown garlic that I harvested this year. Now, depending on how much you like garlic, in this recipe, you can do 3 cloves to 5 cloves. Well, you know we're garlicaholics, so we're going to put in 5 cloves. And of course, our garlic cloves are a little bit bigger, unless you mess up cutting them up like I just did. But now, I'm going to do what I done is slightly shred the garlic into smaller pieces, and we're going to be mixing that in. I'll bring you back once I get the 5 cloves done. Oops. Okay, I got my 5 cloves of big, beautiful garlic added. Oh my gracious, y'all, that smells good. And you can see that it's really, really starting to break down. You're not going to really, once it ferments, you might not be able to see the caraway seeds because they'll get dyed. But you'll be able to smell them and taste them. This is looking so good, y'all. Oh, it smells good. All right. I'm going to let this rest for about 5 minutes. And if you see the bubbles, that's from the garlic. Nothing wrong with it. Alright, I'm going to let this rest for 5 minutes. Let me taste the salt. I'm going to add just a little more salt. I'll let this rest, and I'll bring you back when we fix and put it up in the jars. Okay, now comes the fun part. We get to pack the jars. You want to make sure everything is clean and sanitized. Because you don't want nothing to go wrong with your ferment. Alright, now I have a little bit in the jar. What you're doing is not trying to make the cabbage into mush. You're wanting to bruise its cell walls to release its juices. Now you don't want to go so wild that you break your jar, but you want to pound the cabbage. And we're just going to keep adding cabbage or the cabbage mix. Let me tell you, it smells wonderful. Because what you're going for is enough of the cabbage juice released to that's where what your brine is mixed with the salt, and that way you don't have to add any salt brine to the jar. Now it has released a lot of brine in the bowl, so I will definitely be adding that equally between each of the jars. There's a spoonful of the juice. Sauerkraut's not hard to make, not whatsoever. It's just a labor of love. It takes time. And I wish y'all could smell the aroma of the garlic and the caraway seeds being released. can start seeing some of the juices being released. And also, I forgot to mention, my weights are set up pretty much for regular mouth jars. These are wide mouth jars. Save some of your cabbage leaves before you cut them up, and I'll show you what to do with them here after a while. And see, there's a piece of the garlic that I didn't grate up completely. You can mince your garlic, you can slice your garlic, or grate it like I did. And don't worry about the foam. I don't know why the garlic foamed, but it did. Nothing was wrong with the garlic. And you can see that the brine level is up to here now. You can see it all in it. Mm. Oh, it tastes good. It tastes so good. And I'm not gonna lie, your arm wears out after a while. And if you got a traditional kraut pounder, you wouldn't have to work as much because it would be wide enough to really okay. This jar is just about done. So is my arm, apparently. And yes, I'm going to clean the rim really good. Oh my gracious, that's good. Alright, let me get a paper towel. Alright, I want to fill it almost up to the shoulder. I'm not going to add any of the brine to it yet because I want to pack the other jar, but I am going to put a lid on top and a piece of cabbage. That's to keep the gnats out. Alright, I'm going to work on this second jar. Y'all saw me work on the first jar. I'll bring you back when I'm done with this one. See you after a while. Okay, both jars are done. This one has a whole lot less than this one, but that's okay. What I'm going to do, take some out, let them both have equal amount of the potential sauerkraut. Now, what I am going to do to make sure nothing goes wrong with the kraut, I'm going to make a salt water brine and bring the levels of the brine up to here. Will that affect my kraut? Not at all. It'll just give the kraut more brine inside it. So I'm going to go get what I need to make a brine, and I'll bring y'all right back. Okay, apparently I didn't hit record just perfectly, so you missed out on the brine. What I done is a tablespoon of kosher salt per 1 quart of purified or distilled water. You do not want to use tap water or well water because they can have fluoride, chlorine, and other little critters that can mess your ferment up. And I added a little bit of the brine to this jar. Now, the garlic bubbles will subside after a while. Now, I don't want to fill it up anymore because I'm fixing to place this cabbage leaf in. And it's going to help to keep the chopped kraut below the brine. Because I have wide mouth jars and the weights are for regular mouth jars. Excuse me. And here's my weight. It's ready to go into the jar. And that's what you gotta watch for. You do not want your jar to overflow. And the caraway seeds are going to float up some, and a piece of cabbage. Now, that will keep all the kraut submerged below the brine. Now, you've got to make sure that your brine is salty. Salty like the sea. Because that's what's going to keep mold from growing. Alright, we're going to put our lid on. Now, if you don't have the airlock, you can use a regular lid. You're just going to have to burp the jar. Screw off the lid, let the air out every single day. The airlock stops you from having to do that. Okay, you put your little piece in. I'm going to wait on that. You want to fill it up to this top line, right here. That's the fill line. And see, that's why it's called an airlock. That's what makes it a permanent airlock. And what happens is, as the gases build up inside, oh, look at that beautiful purple color, y'all. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? And what you saw was a glass weight inside. As the gases build in the jar, the air will come up through here and escape by this bubbling up. And you want to put, oh, let's show you. See all the little holes in that? That's how it breathes. Now, those little holes also allow gnats to get in. But the gnats will be trapped in the water and they cannot get into your kraut. Now, let me finish this other jar and we'll talk a little bit more. Uh-oh, found some that didn't make their way into the jar. Uh-oh. Okay. And this is salty brine. It is not just regular water. I think I'll just be chopping my garlic up next time. Okay, and I'm packing these leaves in so that it will keep most of the kraut below the water or below the brine. Crap. Oh well, let's see. I got a little piece here. And you'll see that the brine will rise up quite a bit. As long as you don't see any cabbage or kraut floating above the weight. Right there. There will always have to be those few little ones that want to cause trouble. And that's when a chopstick comes in handy. You just capture them and push them back down. I should have saved more leaves, but it's going to be fine. Alright, we're going to do this one the same way. Wipe that down. Like I said, make sure everything's clean. Alright. You do not want to go over the fill line because then it won't be able to perform right. Now, you also need to, since it's been so hot and dry, keep an eye on the level of the water in your airlock. You want to make sure that that does not evaporate out, because if it goes below the little bubbling part, gnats will get into your kraut and your kraut will be ruined. It only takes one gnat to ruin. You'd be surprised. It takes one gnat to ruin all of your work. Now, you want to set this in a nice warm spot, 65, 75 degrees in that area. Now, do not worry when you see this start to dance, your airlock, the little piece inside. That means fermentation is happening. Now, you want to keep this in a darker area because you don't want a bunch of light hitting it. But in 2 weeks, of course, now you check it every day. Make sure that nothing has floated above the weight. And you might have a mess to clean up. Even with the airlock, this can really ferment really good. And sometimes I have seen it come up through the spout. All you have to do is take this off if that happens. Wash and sanitize it out. Pour a little bit of the brine out. But other than that, just keep your eyes on it. Oh, that's going to be pretty. I love that dark purple color. I will bring you back for updates. Now, at the 2-week mark, you can test it. See how it tastes. If it's sour enough for you, then it's ready. What you'll do is you'll take the airlock off, the lid and the airlock off, put a regular canning lid in it, and you can put it in your fridge. Because it's done if that's the way you want it to taste. I like to let it sit for about a month at least so it really gets a good sour fermented taste. Simple, easy, anyone can do this. It's just a labor of love and takes time. Anything that's really good usually takes time. Everyone stay safe and sound. I will bring you back for updates on the kraut and show how it looks. This world's getting crazy, y'all. Y'all be careful out there. Continue to stock your pantries with food that will sustain you and nourish you. medicines that will heal you, protection of all kinds, and the bare essentials to survive on. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. May you each be blessed. Hoot hoot. Y'all take care.